Okay, let me show you this neck contouring jig. If you come a little closer here on the side, you'll see that I've got a neck that is basically routed flush with the fretboard, and we've got a little pocket that it's resting in, and then a brace that's holding it into place there. And on this side we've got a contoured brace that's locking that down on that side so that it's perfectly centered. And on the left side we've got a wheel that turns one side to the other. Springs are holding this whole contraption in both sides in the up position. And if you look closely inside here, you'll see I have acrylic fingers or followers that are coming down and following this template, so that when this turns, it hits the stop, it turns back the other way, hits the stop, and meanwhile our router is going to route that out. Alright, on the right side, the same spring tension is utilized, but this side we also have a knob. When I tighten that knob, it adds friction, so if I need to lock this in place, I can lock this in place as I'm creating the contour. Okay, again, follows it up. On top, this is 1/2 inch acrylic that sits directly on top of this. I have one little bolt that centers up, just to make sure the acrylic, even though it's heavy, that it doesn't slide back and forth any. So that'll just lock that into place. On the back side we have a dust chute. Now it doesn't collect 100% of all the dust, but the box does contain pretty much all the dust, and this will suck enough of the dust out of the way so at least it doesn't block your visibility of the routing. For the router, I've got my OF 1400 Festool router. I'm using a 1/2 inch spiral up bit, and because of the length that I have to reach here, I am using a 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch extension. Alright, if I turn this all the way to the side, lock it down, basically I'm finding a depth stop and setting my router to a depth stop that will adjust all the way within about 1 millimeter all the way up the neck. Likewise, when I turn it around to the other side, what you will see is again exactly 1 millimeter of gap all the way back down the neck. That tells me that the neck is perfectly centered. If it wasn't, then obviously we wouldn't get that. Now I'm going to do multiple passes on this. So for the first pass, I'm going to start where I'm just basically knocking off a little bit of the corners. Alright, we'll get the dust collector going and we'll start the process. It's about maybe a 5-minute process. See what I'm seeing. Okay, we'll come down a little more. We'll do it again. down a little more. Got a little more to go. Alright, let's remove that. I've got about 1 more millimeter that I could take off of this, but I'm going to stop and check it out first. Remove the cover. As you can see, there's a little bit of sawdust left in here, but all the sawdust is contained. We'll need a little final sanding on this to smooth it out, and I'll have to manually bring in the tapers around the heel and around the neck side. But basically that is perfectly straight and perfectly to the dimension, minus that 1 last millimeter that I'm going to take off based upon my stops there. And that is my contour jig in action. After that first part of the video, I spent about an hour or two with some hand tools, just smoothing everything out with rasps, chisels, scrapers, and sandpaper, doing the heel transition area and the headstock transition. And it turned out really good. And so I figure I would wrap this up tomorrow morning with one more video and show you just how it all turned out. Last night I was showing you my neck contouring jig, and I want to show you how it finished up, because I came down to about 1 millimeter, and when I took it off and measured it was actually less than 1 millimeter from my final target. Just a little bit over 0.5 millimeter. So I decided to utilize for the transitions and bring it down that last little bit, a combination of rasps, scrapers, chisels, and different little sanding jig apparatus to bring it down nice and parallel and get all the scratches out, get the transitions. If you look closely here, see the neck pocket transition is completed, and that's all blended in. Up by the headstock, it's all blended in with just nice rounded soft corners, where if you're playing in that first position it's extremely comfortable, but just a nice chunky feel to it. What I was trying to do is, I had a customer who was asking for a neck profile that resembled that of a Reverend East Point neck. Now if you're not familiar with that, Reverend, which started in 1997, produced various models during the 90s, early 2000s, right in the greater Detroit, Michigan area. This one was made in 2001. And if you zoom in real close to this guy, you will see it says Reverend East Point, Michigan, USA. Now this was a neck they only made for about 3 years, plus or minus a little bit. And it was known for being the chunkiest of the Reverend necks from early on even till now. And it had a dimension that maybe was a little bit less than the classic Fender Stratocaster from the 50s neck, but still a really good feeling chunky neck. It had dimensions of approximately 21.7 millimeters at the first fret, 24.3 millimeters at the 12th fret. And so that's what we were trying to copy in this whole thing. So in bringing it down nice and easy, after getting it really close to about a 0.5 millimeter fat with the templates on the jig, we got it pretty close. So if we look at the first fret, you'll see we have just over 21.7 in that one. And then if we jump down here to the 12th fret, we have just over 24.3 on that guy. So we were able to bring it down, and we have very little to come off, but we have a slight bit of finish standing, and then there'll be a nitro lacquer finish applied to that. So all in all, it's going to be almost dead on the specifications in both width and thickness of that of a Reverend East Point neck. So it's really turning out great. And this jig saved me a ton of time. Once I got the template set, now I can repeat this profile as often as I want and save hours of handwork getting it close, and then obviously using the handwork to do all my finishing touches on the back of the neck to make sure it's a great playable neck. So on this one here, I'll have to finish up my my fret markers and the side dots, finish those up. We'll do some inlay work on the headstock, and then the nitro finish, and this neck will be ready to go. So that's the neck contouring jig, and if you got any questions, let me know. Thanks.